What is it? Can you guys hear me now? Oh, okay. Hi guys. We're gonna be starting the workshop soon. Really sorry for a little bit of the delay. Actually, for now, I just want to kind of get over with the installation guide for both Windows and Mac. So there are a few things that you need to be able to run the workshop today. The first being a C++ compiler, and I understand that this is a little bit hard to install because you'll need to install Visual Studio, and with APU's really bad Wi-Fi, I don't think you can get that done in an hour's time. But I just want you guys to know that even if you don't get to finish the workshop in these 3 hours, it's completely fine. I'm saying that this is going to be a beginner's workshop because I'm going to be giving you guys a all-in-one guide at the end of the workshop where you guys can follow each step by step in order to get the completed project. And hopefully then you'll be able to diversify your portfolio by putting it up on GitHub and stuff like that. So this entire workshop, even if you don't get to achieve the main purpose, which is to get out with the completed project, I hope that you guys are here to learn and to be able to follow through the steps because I'm going to be explaining everything step by step. And I hope that you guys will be able to follow through and come out with a little bit of knowledge that you didn't have before this. So first things first, let's go through the installation guide. The first thing you're going to want to need is to install Python. I think that everyone who is a student in APU will probably have Python installed already. If anyone doesn't have Python installed, can you please put your hands up? Anyone who doesn't have Python installed? Anyone from this side? Okay. So I think we can skip over the Python installation. However, I do have the installation guide where you can follow it through to install Python on your own if you're a little bit too shy to put your hands up right now. So I'm going to assume that all of you here already have Python installed. I am going to, right now. Okay, does anyone have Visual Studio installed? Or does anyone don't have Visual Studio installed? I'm assuming everyone has Visual Studio installed. Okay. I'm gonna move on to the next part as well. You guys are fast. You're going to need the Python extension in your Visual Studio Code. So you guys can just follow the installation guide that's in the WhatsApp group if you guys have not done any of these parts. So I'm gonna assume because you guys are not saying anything, I'm gonna assume that you guys already have everything installed. So if you have Python installed correctly on your computer as well as your Visual Studio Code, you should be able to start a new Python text file that allows you to write "Hello World," and it should appear in your terminal when you print it out. The entire installation guide actually has all of every step that you need, including how to test whether your Python is installed. The next thing you guys want to do is to be able to install the libraries. There are certain libraries that you need on your computer in order to be able to run this entire workshop project. So if you guys haven't if you guys haven't installed the libraries yet, I want you guys to scan this QR code here, go to a Google Drive link, and download the entire attendance program materials folder. So when you click into the link that's available in your guide for Windows PDF file, you should be able to be redirected into your Google Drive where you can see this attendance program materials file in your Google Drive and you want to download it. Okay, does anyone have any trouble up until this part, which is downloading the attendance program materials folder? Does anyone have any problems? No? Okay, if there are no problems, right, I'm going to show you guys what's inside the attendance program materials. First of all, you're going to have a folder called images, and then you're also going to have a folder called resources, as well as the installation guide for Mac and the installation guide for Windows. And last of all, you're going to have requirements.txt, which is the most important document that you need for this step. So after that, you want to go into your Visual Studio Code. You want to open a new folder. You can name it whatever you want. I suggest you put it in desktop because it's easier to get the paths and stuff like that. So I named my attendance workshop project. You want to open that folder in your Visual Studio Code. And then you want to open your file explorer, copy everything that's inside attendance program materials, copy that, go back to your desktop, and the folder that you opened in Visual Studio Code, I named mine attendance workshop project, and paste everything inside here. So if anyone has any trouble getting to this part, please do let me know. You can stop me at any time. I'm not a mean person. I will try my best to assist you. And once you paste that into your current workshop, once you paste that onto your current folder, once you open your Visual Studio Code, you should be able to see everything inside. So as you can see in my Visual Studio Code, in my current folder, I have the images folder, I have the resources folder, as well as the installation guide for Mac and Windows, as well as requirements.txt. Now, one thing you need to know is that if you haven't installed the libraries yet, you should be able to do this step next. So in Visual Studio Code, open your terminal. You can do that by clicking the top navigation bar up there. There's going to be an option that says terminal, and then click on new terminal. Now in your terminal, you want to run this command that's called pip install space R space requirements .txt. Now what this command is going to do is basically install everything that's inside requirements.txt into your current IDE, which is Visual Studio Code. Once you open requirements.txt, you can see that they list down all the libraries that you're going to need, such as CMake, glib, OpenCV, Python, face recognition, CVZone, Firebase admin, as well as NumPy. And when you're running the installation like this, you're going to want to include the version as well. So that's why we have my co-lead Jack over there has very kindly put together the requirements.txt for you guys. So you can just run this command. But because I have all of the libraries installed already, it's going to tell me that the requirement is already satisfied. However, if you guys don't have any of these libraries, they are going to install the ones that you're missing, and they're going to skip over the ones that you already have. I'm gonna assume that quite a lot of you guys have already gone through the installation guide the night before, and you probably have done all of this already. So I'm sorry that you guys have to wait, but the workshop is going to begin in earnest at 2 p.m. sharp. By the way, if you guys run into any problems during the entire workshop, you can just put your hands up. Nearly the entire GDSC committee is here, and they're going to be helping you guys around, especially if you're falling behind the workshop or you cannot follow a particular step. Just put your hands up. They'll be able to come to you and help you out with everything that you need. Sorry? By the way, guys, all of the materials you need, they're actually sent into the WhatsApp group. So if you haven't joined the WhatsApp group yet and you're a little bit too shy to ask, you can actually just go back to the GDSC website where you registered for the event. If you scroll all the way down, they're going to give you the WhatsApp link in order to join the group. Spaghetti. Okay, I'm assuming that most of you guys who have not done the installation guide yet, you guys will probably be at the part where you are installing the libraries. If you are running into the problem where it says that you failed to build the will for dlit, it probably means that you do not have a C++ compiler installed yet. So in order to have a C++ compiler, you can either run it on Anaconda, but I would recommend you actually download Visual Studio. That's the fastest way in order to download a C++ compiler. And when you're installing Visual Studio, make sure you check the desktop development with C++ option, and that's going to give you your C++ compiler. After that, you should be able to run pip install dlit successfully. bit weird. Let me see it. You should be able to run it. Oh, by the way, for images, make sure there's no name. It's just images. Yeah, and then the resources as well. Um, so you're in the wrong directory. Are you in your downloads? Can I search your terminal? Oh, you don't have to. Okay. Are you in the WhatsApp group? Yes. Okay. Let me send you a link first. This means that basically when you install Python, you didn't pick the install pip with it function. You can uninstall Python and then redo it all over again. Uh,
Okay.
let me send you the link.啊
有一个人讲，
啊，
他问我们有没有在这边试过 connect Camos，他讲家里可以 connect，他来到这边不可以 connect。
来到这边可以来啊，什么问题了？等一下，let me paste it in. You can check the first option. So basically, you just uninstall and reinstall Python. Just go to add and remove programs. You can go to your search. This one. You can remove Python. Yeah, you can uninstall both and then reinstall Python again. And then when you're installing it, make sure that you take the additional functions and then click hit installer. Yeah, you should be able to do it. Okay.
Download by 10. So, how's that open?
Can you send me this entire error? Hi. Hi. What is the solution that takes so long?
啊，我觉得我一听过后，我的 resume 开更从 beginner to advanced installation。你讲前面三个字我可以给你讲，然后
Yeah, that should be fun. Guys, I'm going to have to start the workshop at 2:10. I'm going to include the installation guide for you guys. And if you have any problems for installation, you can just text me afterwards. I cannot delay the workshop any longer. I'm really sorry because I cannot debug all of your Python problems because this is my first time seeing so many issues with Python installation. I've never run into any problems with Python installation before. So you guys can just send me whatever error that you guys are seeing. WhatsApp me, PM me, and I will try to find the fix for you as fast as possible. For now, the only solution I have is look around you, see if anyone is able to run the installation guide, and if you can, just sit with them and then code with them and then work with them for the time being. Oh, and by the way, right, I think a lot of the problems that's actually popping out from you not being able to install the libraries is because of your firewall. If your firewall is actually blocking all of these downloads, you will not be able to install the packages. So the first thing you need to do is either disable your firewall or allow all of these downloads to be able to be downloaded in your firewall.
Still not working.
I think it might be a firewall. Are the people sitting with you able to run them?
Yeah.
If they are, can you just hurt them? That's okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, guys, we'll start with the workshop now. First of all, I want to ask one question. Who is able to install everything up until this point? Can you please put your hands up? Okay. For those who are able to do that, right? Can you please pity the people around you who cannot do it, and then please maybe share with them your laptop screen. Actually, if you want, right, you can come sit beside me. You'll be able to see everything very clearly here. I even have a chair here for you guys already. Okay, guys, get settled in, yeah. We're going to start with the program now, like for real this time. First of all, I just want to introduce myself for a bit first. Let me open my slides. So welcome everyone to Introduction to Computer Vision and AI. Today, the outcome of the project is you'll be able to run a full attendance system that uses face recognition to be able to databases to say that you have already checked in into your class. This entire workshop is put together by the GDSC AI department, which consists of me and Jack. Right, Jack is over there. Okay, so he's been very, very helpful. The entire installation guide was put together by both of us, and the entire step-to-step guide, which you will receive, will be given to you and released to you at the end of this workshop. So you have 1 week to work on that before you submit it for your certifications. So I'm going to skip the introduction for me and go over the agenda for today. The first thing you guys are going to be learning how to do is set up your webcam, import your graphics, start your facial encoding generator, and learn how to use the face recognition library, connect to database, update the database, and then set time elapsed for validation. So without further ado, let's go to your Visual Studio Code.
You're streaming the wrong screen.
Am I?
You're streaming this one.
Am I?
Look at your baby. Yeah, baby. Where's your stream? You're streaming this one. Share.
Okay.
You can start the slide. There's some of the online participants did the slide.
Okay, so basically, make sure that you have Visual Studio Code open now, and you should be inside your Python project folder. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it attendees. You can name it like auto attend or whatever you want it to be. You can also be a very generic name like attendance workshop. And make sure that you copy everything from the attendance project materials folder into this folder. So inside this folder, you're supposed to have a few things. The first is images, and inside images, you'll have 6 images ready. And inside resources, you'll have another folder called modes, which has 4 images inside. And inside resources is background.png. So if you have all of these things ready, you should be able to get started now. So the first thing you want to do is add a new file. Called main.py. So if you've never touched Python before, this is probably your first Python file ever. Congratulations. Woo! Okay, first thing you want to do now is learn how to set up your webcam, right? So there are a few things that you need to do. The first is to import your CV2. CV2 is a machine learning. It is a image recognition library that actually helps you open up your webcam and allow you to interact your webcam and stuff like that. So the next thing you want to do is capture equals to CV2, video capture. Okay, 0. So what you're doing is using from CV2, this library, you're using a function that's called video capture. And into video capture function, you're going to input, pass a parameter or an argument inside that is either 0 or 1. If you're using your laptop's built-in camera, you have to put in 0. If you're using an extended webcam, for example, Camo Studio, you want to input 1 here. And you're storing whatever CV2 is getting from video capture into a variable that's called capture. Next thing you want to do is set the width of your window. Okay, so basically, when you're using capture.set, you're basically defining what the window size should be. 3 is the property that's used for controlling the width of the window, and 4 is for controlling the height of the window. Up until this point, you're basically just defining what the window looks like when you open up your webcam. Don't worry, take as much time as you need to write whatever code is on the screen right now. And I'm going to go through what it basically means to all of you. As I've mentioned before, basically capture, you're putting whatever is being received from video capture 0 by CV2 into a variable that's called capture. And then you're setting this window to be 1280 by width and 720 by height. So you start and initialize a while loop that basically takes into two variables. You have success, and then you have also image. So if success equals true, so that basically means if there is a video capture and if your webcam is working, an image, a variable called image is going to contain whatever you are receiving from your webcam. So that's what this line of code means. It's basically a very boilerplate or very basic code for you to be able to start and initialize your webcam. Whenever you're doing an image recognition project, this is definitely one of the first few codes that you're going to be writing, as this is what initializes your webcam. So after that, you're going to use a function called image show or imshow from the library that's called CV2 to start a, there's an error here. To start a window that is called attendance system, and it's going to display your image. So basically your webcam feed, and then you're gonna put a wait key there. So everyone correct the mistake that I made just now. Yeah, I actually forgot to close attendance system with the quotation mark. You're supposed to have a comma after that, and then your image feed, which is basically your webcam. So you should be able to run this successfully. Is everyone able to run this? Okay. I think the problem with my computer is that I'm already using my webcam on that page. So for those who are able to follow up until this part, you see your webcam popping up, right? And on top of the window, it says attendance system. And then when you close it, it just keeps on reopening again. If you have that problem, go back to your terminal and then just throw that away. Okay, so if you've made it to this part, you should know that you've already completed the first part of today's agenda, which is basically initializing your webcam. Now we're going to be moving into importing your graphics. So even though, if you can see from the Explorer, right, you already have images and resources in this folder, it doesn't mean that it's being read into your current system. So what you want to do is be able to write a code that allows you to read all of the images into your current system and program. Essentially, what you're trying to do now is basically storing into a variable that's called background image, using CB2 to read this actual file that's being stored inside resources. So the name has to be exactly the same. So if your B is capitalized in resources folder, you want it to be capitalized in your program as well. So you can open that up in a new tab within your Visual Studio Code. This is what you're supposed to be opening using your program. So when you run your program, after writing this new line called CB2 image show, attendance system, comma, background image, when you run your program, it should be able to show up. Okay, can everyone see their background image pop out now? But because you have two image shows, when you run the program, what's going to happen is that your webcam is going to pop out in one window and the background image is going to pop up in another window. But that's not what we want, right? We want our webcam to be integrated into the background. So basically what's happening inside this code is you are pasting your webcam feed onto the background image. The only reason why I'm using positions is because I've actually tried an error and I know where the webcam is supposed to be. And it's also because I'm not coding the entire website for the attendance system itself. I'm simply using an image. So because it's due to time constraints for this being a 3-hour workshop, I can only teach you guys how to paste it onto the background image. So after you write this code, which is basically saying that at the position of 162 to 162 plus 480, and this takes in the width, and for the height 55 to 55 plus 640, you are pasting the image onto the background image. So image, please remember this is your actual webcam. And after this, right, you basically no longer need this line that's showing the window for your webcam. Because your webcam is now integrated successfully onto your background image, you can go ahead and delete this, or in my case, I'm going to comment it out. And once you run the program now, you should be able to see that your webcam is pasted successfully onto the background image. For real? GG.com 可以看到吗？看不到的，right？我的，你看到我的错没？哦。你看不到我 Discord， 害怕了吗？你 try 一下可以吗？ you guys changing it to this code, image equals to cb2.resize. You're resizing your webcam image into the shape of 640 and 480. If you try this, it should be able to run. It's because of the aspect ratio of your webcam. After you resize your image, it should be able to run now. It's actually because the size is compatible with my webcam, but probably not the aspect ratio of yours. So right now, the next thing you want to do is import every single images that's under the modes folder. So that's 1.png, 2.png, 3.png, all the way up to 4.png. So the next thing you want to do is import a new module that's called import OS. So in order to import all of the images from mode, the first thing you want to do is create a path to your folder that's called modes. Store it inside a variable that's called folder path mode, and you equate that to resources/modes. So you're basically redirecting your program to go into resources and then into modes. And the next thing you want to do is create a variable called list path mode, where you use the module called OS to use a function called list directory that takes in your folder path. So what does list directory do? List directory is actually a function within the module OS that basically lists down the file names of every single thing that's within a single path, which is why whatever you pass into this function has to be a path to a folder. So what you're doing again is basically listing down every single file name inside folder path mode. And after that, you want to initialize a list that's called image list mode, and you make it an empty list in order to see whether printed the right. In order to see whether we've imported the modes images right, what you want to do is print list path mode, which is supposed to tell you the names of every single file inside modes. So you want to run your program and see your terminal whether it says 1, 2, and 3. I cannot run it because my baby is actually using my webcam right now. But as you can see from the line that I've highlighted in my terminal here, it says 1.png, 2.png, 3.png, and 4.png. So that means that my os.list directory is actually retrieving all the file names correctly. Once you've gotten to the part where you have managed to print all the file names within the modes folder, you want to write a for loop that actually iterates through every single file name within the folder, and then you want to append the file location to the image list. So from line 15 to line 20, these are new lines of code that I'll basically explain what they actually do. So for every single path within this path mode, which is basically a list that contains the file names of everything that's in modes, right? So for every single file name within this path mode, you are appending the full path to this image into your image list mode. So you are basically using append on image list mode, and then you are using a bracket because this is what you're passing into append. You are reading what is being joined from the folder path mode to the path, and then you're putting that into your list. So if that isn't clear enough, you want to see the first argument here is basically folder path mode, right? And you already know what folder path mode is. Up here, it tells you that folder path mode is resources/modes. So you already have these two files down, but you need the path, which is one.png, to be appended to this to become a full path. You want your program to be able to redirect successfully to all of these images, which is why you're joining resources / as well as the file name of every single image within the modes folder. And then you're appending that into image list mode. And when you print image list mode, it should be able to tell you the full list. So you want to come up here. And that's your array. For those that cannot continue, right, please just turn to look at your friend. I'm really sorry, but it's like process of elimination. I don't know what's going on also. It's my first time seeing all these problems pop up. In this line of code, you're basically overlaying the first image in the most folder, which says ready for scan, onto your background image. So can you guys please write this line of code, run the program, and let me see what pops up on your screen. Okay, guys, I see that there are quite a lot of successes for overlaying the ready for next scan onto your current background image. So you're actually 2 parts down. You've managed to import the graphics already. So the next thing you want to do is basically create a facial encoding generator. So when you hear the word facial encoding generator, your first question is probably what the hell that is, right? Because that was my reaction when I first heard the word facial encoding. So to explain to you guys what we're going to be doing in this part, in the context of machine learning and AI, encodings are essentially the conversion of data into a more readable form for a lot of computer systems. So encoders in turn actually help you capture the most essential part of features and patterns within the input data. They convert that into binary form or a form that's more readable for computers, and then they let you put that into a database. So what we're going to be learning in this part is basically importing your own faces onto the program and letting facial encoders essentially extract the most significant or the unique features in your face and be able to differentiate your face from other faces. So without further ado, let us start. If you go into images, you're going to see that I already gave you a bunch of sample images to try out with. The first one is actually my friend over here. And there's also a bunch of other pictures. Elon Musk is here, Karina is here. So these are pictures that you want to be able to use in your program. Just to let you guys know, these images must be 216 by 216. It's actually, again, because I'm not developing the entire program itself, it's just picture. So it definitely space for a square picture that's 216 by 216. If you want to use your own photo, go to Canva, create a canvas that is 216 pixels by 216, take a selfie, put your picture there, and then throw it into the folder here. So you can actually try it out with your face itself. Yeah. 是，说真的女人。I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time to be able to put in your images into the image folder. But in the meantime, I'm going to teach you guys what to do next. So in the main project folder, you want to create a new file that is called encodegenerator.py. Two one six. Inside encode generator, you want to import a few things. And essentially, what you want to do in your encode generator is to be able to read all the images into this file, right? So you're going to use the exact same logic as before when you're importing the modes images. So in case you guys needed some refreshing on what the logic is like, basically you're setting a variable that leads to the path where you're keeping your images. And because our images is basically right in the middle of our main project folder, you can just write images there. The next thing we want to do is list down the file name of every single file that's within this image. And for path, so which is for every file inside this folder, you want to append it, you want to join it together with the folder path images to get the full directory path. And then you want to throw that into image list images. So in order to ensure that you've actually done everything right, you can actually print the length of your image list. And because I have 6 images in my images list, there are 6 students here, it should be able to return to me 6 here. And as you can see in my terminal, it actually tells me that I have 6 images inside my image list images. It means that I've imported all of the images correctly. The next thing we want to do is to be able to extract student IDs, right? As you can see from the images, I've actually named every single person after their TP number. Some of the TP numbers are fake. Mine is actually real, so please don't dox me. Once you run your code, you should be able to see that it's telling you all of the file names. As you can see, the first one is tp0111.png, and then etc., etc. But here's the thing, you don't actually want the PNG, that's not part of the student IDs. So what we need to do now is to be able to split TP0111 from the .png. what we're doing in the new lines of code is essentially creating a new list that's called student IDs. So we are able to store our TP numbers somewhere. And for the part where we are iterating through every single file within the folder path, what you want to do is append to student IDs list using OS path, the function split text. You are splitting the path, which is basically tp01111.png into two parts. And the square bracket here with the 0 inside is essentially telling the program that you only want to retrieve the first part of the split text. So if we've done everything right, we should be able to print only TP numbers and without the trailing .png. So let's run our program to see if we did it correctly. And if you're looking at my terminal right now, you'll see that there's the difference between me printing out the student IDs before I split them into two, and also a difference after I decided to split the text. So if you see the latest output in my terminal now, it's going to tell me that the only things I have in my student's ID list is exactly what I want, which is the TP number. I'm going to give you guys some time to catch up, so maybe like 1 or 2 minutes to write these few lines of code, and then we're going to move on.那不存在的。你要做这个吗？你可以靠近。Okay, guys, right now we actually want to generate the encodings, which is basically the part where you extract all of the most unique features from the pictures that you've actually taken. So for this, we want to define a new function. Okay, so we basically created a new function that returns you the encodings of every single face that is captured within the images that you've imported into your program. So I'm going to go through the code with you so you understand what's going on. So a function is basically a reusable piece of code that lets you do the same function or like the same thing multiple times while you're running the program. So think of functions like our generate encodings is actually a function. Think of it like a door. And for this thing here, this is what we call a parameter. Think of parameters as locks on the door. And just keep that analogy in mind while I go through the rest of the code. So for now, as usual, you're just initializing a list that's called encodings list that's empty for now. And for every single image inside images, and images are what you pass into this function in order to make it do what you want it to do. And for every single individual image inside images, you are basically first converting the color into the color format that you want. The reason we want to do this is because most facial recognition libraries, like the one we're using today, face underscore recognition, they only work with RGB color format. So if you're passing any other color format to it, like BGR or gray, what's going to happen is it's going to turn out a bunch of errors. So why are we converting it from BGR to RGB? It's actually because CV2's default color format is actually BGR. So we're converting from BGR to RGB for every single image so that we can work with it accurately. And after that, we are storing into a variable that's called encode. The encodings, and this is a built-in function that comes with the library face recognition. We are encoding the face of each image, and we're only taking the first face. And this is because face encodings is actually a function that works on multiple faces, especially if there are like 5 faces in a picture, that is going to generate you 5 sets of encodings. But because we only want the main face, we are only taking the first one. So that's 0. And then we are encoding this, we are appending this encode into the list of encodings list. At the end of this function, we will return the encodings list. So that's basic function does. After this, you actually want to call it. So okay, so basically what this line does is call the function which is called generate encodings using the list of images that you have already listed up here. When you went through every single image that's in your list path images, you've essentially imported all of the images into the program, correct? So you're putting all of these imported images into generate encodings. And you're putting all of the output into the list that's called encodings list node. So essentially think of image list images as the key to your lock. So if the function is the door and the parameter is the lock, you need to be able to have an argument to unlock the door and then use the function. So that's essentially how you can think of it as. You can actually try printing your encodings list node now, but it's not going to make a lot of sense because we don't understand computer language. Encodings are actually for computers to understand. So what I can do is show you what you can do with the encodings. Okay, so what you're basically doing in this piece of code is you're opening a new file using a variable called encoding file, and you're opening a new file that's called encodingsfile.p in write mode. Now, the reason why this is in .p and not .txt or something like that is because Pickle is the library that we're using to create this file. Now, essentially what Pickle does is keep your data and save your data in a file in the format that is serialized, so for the computer to read as well. But just because you're serializing your file doesn't mean that it's encrypted or doesn't mean it's protected, because you can actually very easily unserialize or like unpack your data using pickle.load, which I'm going to show you how to do later. So essentially what pickle dump is doing is saving your encodings list into a new file, new pickle file, which is in a serialized format into your encoding file. And after that, you want to close the file because that's a good practice. After you're done writing all of these lines of code, right, I want you to run the program. And in the Explorer, you should be able to see a new file come up that's called encodingsfile.p. And as you can see, after my terminal, after my program has finished running, essentially on the left side, you see a new file being created that's called encodingsfile.p. And the file is not supported because it is a format that we essentially cannot read. I'm going to give you guys one more minute or two to be able to catch up to all of the code here. Oh, it's coming up. May I know how many people is experiencing the problem where they're asking you to install face recognition again? Guys, I'm sorry that so many of you guys are having this issue. Apparently, it's due to your CMake and DLIT not being properly installed. So actually, right, it's another process of elimination. But can you please find the closest person to you who is actually having a running laptop on this law? And after the workshop, I'll actually release a documentation for you guys, telling you how exactly to fix this error, and then you can follow along and get the certificate after. I'm really sorry, but I really didn't anticipate so many problems coming into this workshop because all of the people who tried it with me are actually able to run the program. So I promise I'll be able to get back to you guys with a fix after this. In main.py, you guys might want to go back to main.py and import your pickle. And after which, you want to open the file. So that is right after your for loop. So basically, after you import your new library pickle inside main.py, guys, for those who are having trouble with face recognition, right? Can you open your terminal right now? Pip install. Try writing this pip install setup tools. If you run it and you are able to run the program and get encodings file.p in your Explorer, it means that everything is done correctly already. Does it work now, guys? It does? Okay. Wow, slay it. Okay, guys, so remember, just pip install setup tools. This is probably the one that's missing from your CMake and your delete when it's not set up properly. So if you install it manually, it should be able to work. Run the file, and in the Explorer, you're supposed to see encodingsfile.p, and that means that you basically encoded everything correctly. Okay, so now you want to go back into main, import your pickle, and what you want to do is unload the encodings file. So essentially, you're making it into a readable format again. So you want to open your encodings file.p in read mode into a variable that's called encodings file. And encodings list with IDs, you want to load it from this encodings file, close your file for good practice. And essentially, you want to split it into two again because you threw two variables into encodings list with IDs earlier. So in order to find out whether you did everything correctly, you should be able to print your student IDs here once you run it in the terminal.
Encode generator. Hello.
Okay, you guys should be able to run and then print out your student IDs.
Sorry.
Import the face recognition library. Please remember to import face recognition into main.py as well. After you unzip or unload the pickle file, and then you are able to retrieve all your student IDs again. You want to go back into your while loop, right? And you want to be able to process every single image that is taken for your webcam. But because if you are encoding every single image or every single frame that is being taken by your webcam, that's going to take a lot of computational power. So what we can do in order to save that is essentially create a smaller version of your image. All right, so let's go through the new lines of code that have been written here. So essentially, for this one, as you can see, you're making each frame that's taken from your webcam 1/4 of its actual size to save computational power. And then you're converting the image to RGB color format because, as previously mentioned, face recognition only works with RGB color format. And then from face recognition library, we are using this function that's called face locations, which basically finds the face inside your webcam. So you're passing into that your webcam, and then you're putting the face location into the variable that's called face current frame. So after that, you want to encode the face that is found inside the image. So inside encode current frame, you are storing the face encodings of face current frame, which gets you the location on the webcam. So essentially what you're doing is feeding your program the webcam image, right? And because you've already found the location of your face, you are putting this location onto the webcam and then encoding whatever is on your face. So everything I've highlighted here is what you need to be able to move on to the next stage. First, I've told you guys how to convert it into 1/4 of its actual size, convert it into the right color format, and then you want to find the location of the face within the webcam, as well as encode that face in the webcam. So now we want to be able to compare whatever is live on our webcam with the encodings that we already know. So in order to do that, we need to use a Python built-in function that's called zip. Zip essentially, okay, so when you have a list and you use a for loop on that list, you are basically going through every single element in that list. But when you're using the Python zip function, essentially what you're doing is iterating through tuples of like two of iterables in one, it's basically creating a list of a lot of this, if that makes sense. So for every single encode face and face location inside the encode current frame and face current frame, what you want to do is find the matches. So you use the function called compare faces from the face recognition library, and then you put in, and then you put in your encodings list node as well as your current encoded face. So encodings list node is something that you actually unloaded from your pickle file. That's something that you managed to do after importing the images folder. And then the encode face is basically your own faces encodings. What we're doing is basically comparing these two faces to see if there are any matches. And the next thing that we want to do is find the face distance. So from the face recognition library, you're using the face distance function in order to find how close your face is to another face that has been encoded. And the lower the score that is actually received from face distance, it means the closer you look to that person. So you can try running the program, and you might see that you are matched to a face that is not yours. That's okay, because when you look at the face distance, you'll find that even though you have two matches, for example, your face encoding will be closer to your own face than the other match that you got. And essentially, we're only going to be taking the first match, which is the one that's closest to your face.
Check something.
Yeah, sure.
Is the encoding this known variable
Uh-huh.
created before?
Created. Yeah, it's actually created in your encode generator before. So essentially, over here, right, you're seeing encoding this node. You're
The
generating.
variables can be passed like that. In the different paths.
No. It's just that it's standardization. So essentially, you're splitting them back into the variables that you name them as in encode generator.
So where did the variable come from in main?
Sorry?
Where did the variable come from in main?
You're creating it as you're doing it here now.
Where?
Where is my read? Here.
I don't think I'm. Can you stop here?
Okay.
This one is encoding list file or encoding list node.
Where?
Yeah. Just now you got typo. I have it right.
Sorry guys. I actually had a typo here just now. My boss pointed out. Change this to encoding this node. Okay, so basically once you run the program, it should be able to tell you which image you're actually matched to. And it's also going to tell you the face distance. So essentially, face distance measures how similar your face is to a certain image or another face. So the lower the score is, the more similar it is. This is the list of imports that you should be having right now. There's CV2, OS, Pickle, face recognition, NumPy, and you want to import NumPy as NP. And lastly, you want to import CV Zone as well. So what's happening right now is when you go into your terminal, you'll soon realize that it's matching you to more than one face, and we don't want that. We want it to match you only your. So essentially, we're going to be using NumPy to do exactly that for us right now. So first you want to import NumPy and then import CV Zone for the next part. And then you want to create this new variable called match index that actually takes the argument min from NP library to take in your face distance to find the score that is closest to your own face, and it's going to print you the match index. And if we want it to be even clearer, we want it to say something like this. So if you could just write this down now. You might want to run it to see if you are able to get your OTP number. Okay, okay. Is everyone getting mashed to their face, or is there someone getting mashed to their friend's face? Is everyone getting the right output? Okay, so now right, we want a fancy rectangle that's following our face around when we run the program. So this is actually how you do it. Okay, so essentially these four new lines of code are mapping 4 points to the corners of your face. And remember how when we were processing the image, we actually changed it to 1/4 of its actual size. We want to multiply it by 4 so that it's actual size of the webcam feed now. And then you're drawing this box around your face that's called B box with those exact positions up basically. And then you're using background image to paste the box over your face so that it's tracking you around. So I want you to run this code after you actually written everything, and I want you to see what actually happens. Okay, guys, if it's not working for you, please check that your indentation is correct. So when you're mapping your face location, it needs to be in the same if loop, and your CV2 image should be outside at the last line. And now we're going to go to the fun part, which is initializing your database. It's not actually that fun, but it's okay. Okay. Please go to Firebase console. Create a new project. This project can be whatever name you want it to be, so you can just call it attendance project or something. Once you've given your Firebase project a name, you want to enable Google Analytics, or you can disable it as well, it's fine. Click continue, and for account selection, just use default account for Firebase. And after which, you just want to click create project and wait for it to load. It's probably going to take around a minute or two. You're going to be entering into the attendance project on the Firebase. And on the left side, you want to click on build. And on build, you're going to be able to see something called real-time database. Please create this one. And if you cannot find it, just click on the search bar and then search real-time database. You should be able to find it. Click on real-time database inside your Firebase project and create your database. Once you reach this part, you can actually create it in any location that you want. I'm going to create it in United States. Click on next. And if this is very important, you want to create it in test mode. Remember, yeah, when you're creating the databases, please create it in test mode. The steps to create each database is fairly simple. You just want to go into the name of the Firestore product, the Firebase product, and then you want to create a new database and make sure you start in test mode. The location can be wherever you want it to be. Now that we've created the real-time database, you want to go back to build. You want to go into storage, and storage is where you want to put in, it's basically your database but for images. So you want to get started with storage and start in test mode as well. So they're gonna warn you that you cannot change the location. It's whatever, you can let it be wherever you want it to be. Create your storage bucket. Okay, guys, I'm assuming now you have already created both the real-time database as well as the storage. So I'm going to teach you how to connect this to your program really quick. You want to go up there to the settings icon, the gear icon, and you want to click on project settings. And within project settings, you want to go into service accounts. In service accounts, you're going to be in Firebase Admin SDK. You want to select Python because that's the language that we are writing it in, and generate your new private key. So you generate this key, and it's going to start downloading something for you. So you can see that here. Okay. So if you didn't catch that, you want to go up here. So next to project overview, you're going to see a little gear icon, right? So you want to click on the gear icon and it's going to show you a menu of options that you can choose from. Click on project settings. And within project settings, you want to go into service accounts. So in service accounts, it's going to give you a page where you can look at your Firebase admin SDK. So it's essentially letting you know how you can actually connect your current Firebase database into your actual project. So click on Python because that's the language that we are using for this project, and then click on generate new private key. So that's going to start a download, and this is a private JSON file. Please don't share it with anyone else, or they'll have access to your. Yeah. The downloadable file is not something you can there's no download button, but it will download immediately when you press on generate new private key. So after your file has finished downloading, it should be very, very quick. You see this little code, like text field here. There's a bunch of code there, right? On the bottom right corner, there's actually a copy icon. Copy this code and go back to your Visual Studio Code. So while you're at Visual Studio Code now, you want to create a new file now, and it's called adding data to DB. Inside this new Python file, you want to paste the file that you actually you want to paste the code that you actually copied from the website earlier, and it's going to help you do the imports, and it's going to give you the credentials as well. Anyone have trouble keeping up to this step? Again? Okay. So basically after your So at this Firebase admin SDK page, right, you're going to see this little code snippet over here. And at the bottom right corner of this field is a copy to clipboard icon. You want to copy this entire code, open up your Visual Studio Code, create a new file, the same way that you created encode generator and main py just now. You want to name this file adding data to db.py, and you want to paste whatever you copied from Firebase admin SDK over in this file, and it's going to help you establish a connection to your database. Okay, now after you paste this onto your adding data to DB file, go into your folder. Go to your folder, go to downloads, and this is you're going to see what the Firebase, what the generate new private key actually downloaded earlier, the file. You want to rename this to this exact name. You can actually just move this file into your project folder. So that's here. Make sure there's no duplicate in the name. So it must be just service account key with a small letter S, a big letter A, and capitalized K. And then you want to go back into your Visual Studio. Once you throw it into your main project folder, you should be able to find the JSON file here at the Explorer. Okay, what you want to do now, inside adding data to DB, you want to remove path /to/ and just leave service account key.json here. And in order to move to the next step, you should just be having these 4 lines without the path to. So once you're already at this stage, go back to your Chrome, go to your Firebase, and visit your real-time database. Inside your real-time database, you should be able to see this code here that I'm highlighting on the screen for you guys. So again, delete path to in your Visual Studio Code, and then visit your real-time database inside your Firebase console. Copy this link that you are finding in real-time database, copy reference URL, return to your Visual Studio Code and write this line of code. So what this line of code is essentially telling your program is that I'm connecting to Firebase now, and this is where my database is. I'm going to leave this code here so you can either take a picture of it or you can continue coding as I'm doing things. So right now I'm going to teach you guys how to actually add your data to your real-time database. So follow me here. Essentially, what you're doing here is importing this DB from your Firebase admin. And after you've connected it to your database URL, you create a reference to the database where you're going to find students from your database. And then what you're doing here is creating what is called a Python dictionary. Python dictionary does exactly what it sounds like. Essentially, you're having a dictionary where there's a bunch of words inside, and under each word, there's a lot of explanations for it, correct? And this is what you're doing for every single student. So you're creating a dictionary full of students as well as their student details. So whatever is here, so the first thing inside your data dictionary is the TP01111. And if you have ever done a SQL or a database module, this is actually what is known as a primary key. So stored underneath TP0111 is the details of this student. So you need to have name, major, starting year, total attendance, grades, and year, as well as the last attendance taken. And please do note that the last attendance taken must actually be written in this exact format. This is what you need to write in order to make sure that your data is actually being sent to your real-time database. So in case you haven't finished writing the dictionary, you can go ahead and complete all of the details. But essentially after that, you want to collect the key, and this is the key, and these are all the values of each key. And you're setting into your reference, which is set at students of this database. You're creating a child, you're referring to the child with the key, and then you're setting that key with the value. So what I want you guys to do now is run this file and wait and see what happens. So it's finished running. When I go to my Chrome, you should see that your real-time database is actually updated with all of the data that you have input into your dictionary. So you can go to your Visual Studio and then look at this code in case you haven't caught all of that, and write all of that, run your program, and you should be able to see whatever you have reflected inside your dictionary inside the database. Okay, so guys, I think most of you guys have managed to write the data to the database already. You should be seeing all of this. Let me just very quickly show you how you can actually create another one. So you just copy all of that and then paste it down here and then change it to 02345, for example. You want to run this file. And when you go back to real-time database, it's actually going to show the next one. So essentially, we've actually run out of time, unfortunately. I'm really sorry we didn't get to finish the project today, but I already have prepared a all-in-one guide for you guys to return to. I didn't anticipate there would be so many problems with the Python libraries and stuff like that. So I'm really sorry that I couldn't debug all of that for you today. However, I'm going to switch back to my slides here. No time for this. Okay, guys, please scan the code here for the all-in-one guide. You want to scan it and then ensure that you can actually have access to the file so that you can actually complete it. Please join the WhatsApp group as well because I'll be sending you the submission link from the WhatsApp group. Okay, so if you guys are going through the guide now, you'll be able to see that I have actually included the explanation for all of the code. So don't worry, you won't just have to like copy and paste the code and then not understand what you're doing because I did include the explanation. And because we're running out of time, I actually just want to promote our next workshop is being done by Dan Wei Hub. Where's Wei Hub? Huh? Okay, Wei Hub is no longer here, but okay, that sounds wrong. Wei Hub is no longer here in the room. He's no longer here in the room because he's off doing very important stuff. But Johnson here is actually the web dev co-lead. Johnson, can you please say hi to everyone? Johnson, you want to come promote Vue into the future?
So on 6 February. Morning. Okay. So on 6 February, we'll be hosting our Vue.js workshop. So you can see the nice poster that was done by our creative marketing. Shout out a beginner's journey to Vue.js. So what we'll be covering is basically doing a simple to-do app using Vue.js. We will teach how to do the syntax for it as well. So we actually have 2 sessions. For day 1, 5th February, we're actually hosting a live session on Vecchi as well to help you all install and set up, because we know sometimes setting up your local environment can take some time. So there will be a 1 hour, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can ask any questions, of course, related to Vue.js that time. And then the workshop itself will be on Tuesday, 6th February, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it should be the classroom inside or this classroom announced later in the WhatsApp group. So yeah, if you're interested into web development, this is a good place to start. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, about the setting up part, right? Oh yeah, if it's clap for the web dev department. Yeah, I mean, just admitting to you guys, prior to this day, I was like, man, I'm teaching like Python only, right? Should be damn easy to set up. I didn't know there would be this many issues. So I'm really sorry, but if you guys have any issues, please PM me the exact error. I will find you the fix and I'll document it and I'll send it to the group again. So once again, thank you so much for coming to today's workshop, even though we didn't manage to finish. If you have any feedback for me, please put it into the form here. And I just want to thank all of the GDSC committee members for making this workshop possible. And thank you all to all participants for giving me your 3 hours of your time.